Morning. It works. My mother and I welcome and thank you for all coming today. We especially want to thank the Board of Trustees of the Metropolitan Museum for their graciousness and generosity in hosting this celebration of the life of Tom Hoving. With us today is Tom's sister, my Aunt Petey, for whom I am named. Also her sons, John, Thomas, and if you're in the room, Randy. And my family. I think I'll take this moment to embarrass them by name. Let me introduce Tom's granddaughters, Amelia, Kate, and Matilda Leventhal. And of course, Colin, but I'm not going to make him stand up. I'm particularly pleased that the girls will hear some memories of Pop-Pop, as they called him. Memories from a few colleagues and friends Nancy has asked to speak today. Ooh, and what a place to hear it. Susan, Lacey, if these walls could talk. But first, a few thoughts from me. As a girl growing up in New York City, I always thought I had the coolest dad, not for the obvious reasons. I don't think I was too impressed that he knew so much about medieval art. What was his obsession with that ivory cross? Or that he created all those happenings in Central Park? Or even that he was in charge of this huge building on Fifth Avenue? He was cool because he'd drive me to school on the back of his Honda 360 motorcycle. He was cool because he taught me how to maneuver my skis over blue ice on the slopes of Stratton, Vermont. He was cool because he had the silliest stories and off-color jokes to keep me and my friends laughing, even in the most boring situations. This is for Lacey. Whoops. Slowly I turn, step by step, inch by inch. All right, I did it. And because he taught me to tie a nautical knot called a bowline behind my back. He was the handsomest dad, tall and slim, that impressive aquiline nose that I'd wished I'd inherited, rather than the Swedish peasant ankles I got instead. Those long, expressive fingers that would wrap around a precious art object, in much the same way he'd grab a dish towel for our kitchen cleanup act after meals at our cottage on Quaker Hill. Tom seemed more like a cheeky older brother than a traditional father. Some of our most memorable trips, and there were many, were on frigid chairlifts. In order to keep my mind off frostbitten toes, he would regale me with stories of his long marches in the Marines, or of climbing up herringbone style on the ski slopes near his beloved boarding school, Eaglebrook. There were the tall tales of night watches on ocean races between Newport and Bermuda, and sometimes of the pursuit of an art object he coveted for the Met. My father left the day-to-day running of me to my mother. I learned later he would demand late-night debriefings from her on what was going on in my life. He never gave advice directly. Instead, I picked up his values by example. Find your passion and immerse yourself in it. Never let the other guys see you sweat. Don't let the bastards get you down. And in the immortal phrase he borrowed from his father-in-law, Elliot V. Bell, don't do anything you're not prepared to do in Macy's window. Thanks to him, I'm a keen acquisitor, not of art objects, but of films. And I managed to turn that passion into a career. Dad introduced me to classic movies. Some Like It Hot, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. At the Ziegfeld, he took me and my friends to see 2001: A Space Odyssey and Lawrence of Arabia. He had an uncanny way of anticipating cultural icons, even at the movies. He made sure we all went to the first showing of Star Wars at the Lowe's 86th Street Theater before pandemonium set in. That eye, his appreciation of excellence in all things, continues to be an influence on my life, as does his passion, whether for unlocking the mystery of the Scythian horde or eating our signature Sunday night dinner. I can definitely hear his voice now. That was the best bowl of spaghetti and marinara sauce I've ever eaten. Music. He played it almost incessantly. Classical, opera, rock, country, bluegrass, Dylan, Springsteen, and of course, Judy Collins. And he kept on listening. My daughters still marvel at his appreciation of Girls Aloud. One of my father's dearest memories was having Judy dedicate a song to him at a Schaefer concert in Central Park during his time as Parks Commissioner. I can imagine him levitating if he knew that Judy was singing for him today. Animals. He adored them. The first of a long line of dogs who joined the family was Amy. My father showed no interest in buying a dog. She was my mother's choice. But from the moment this tiny silky terrier puppy and Dad laid eyes on each other, it was love at first sight. After that, always in overlap, came Liza, Buffalo, and now Kayla, all adoring acolytes to my father, as he was equally devoted to them. The partnership of Nancy and Tom was a little more complicated. The arguments could be electrifying. I must have been 6 or 7 when one such row reached fisticuffs. I got up on a stool and acted as referee, dinging a bell, until they both fell over laughing. There were a lot of heated arguments in the house, but I never once doubted their devotion to each other. I miss my father every day, but he lives on for me through the stories he told me, and in his books, videos, and photographs. They are the memories of the journeys we took together. And I need only look at my 3 daughters. In Amelia, I see a burgeoning academic with a love of the classics as well as art. In Matilda, I see his exuberance, his sheer joy in life. And in Kate, well, Kate just about is my father. He's with me when I walk through an exhibition at a museum or gallery. He's just ahead of me as I point my skis down a snowy mountain path. We'd like to show you a short video montage of Tom's life now. We hope you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for coming.